Hi, it's Kylie Coo. Welcome to my studio. So this will be week, I can't remember, 42 is it, of the Concertina Accordion journal. I'm going to do things a little bit differently this week, just to kind of shake it up a little bit, but also I'm just kind of feeling like I want to do something different, in a sense something quite quiet in terms of colours, etc. Excuse me. And yeah, I'm actually going to be using 2 cards today, and rather than starting by gluing things down, I'm going to start by putting some ink onto some of this paper. Now, I'll explain what I'm doing kind of as I go along, but I want to colour this a bit because we're going to be, or I'm going to be, you can too if you want, joining these together to make a pocket. Well, really it's a pocket, but it will fold down in our book. I want to use some of this, it's just brown packaging paper. I've been using it as a drop sheet. That's a stencil that I've used on a lot of things. There's a bit here that's got some crackle paste, texture paste on it. A lot of that's just going to drop off. But I want to use some of this for the back and the front of the cards, and this for the inside. So I'm basically going to, I guess, just kind of colour some of this up as well. I'm going to reduce it in size, so sorry for the tearing noise. That's just an underpiece from last week, which I really like. Anyway, I'm going to take some sepia ink and just basically drop it onto here. Use my spray bottle. Now this paper will absorb it, and that's why I'm doing this now rather than after I put it on here, because otherwise it will just soak all the way through. So let's give this a go, and then I'll dry it off with my heat tool. Just want to be quite random if I can be. Yeah, it is sepia. I thought I'd brought out the wrong ink there. Not that it would have mattered. I thought it was indigo for a second or two. Right, let's just see where this takes us. So you would see from the little bit of footage at the beginning, I was out in my garden, almost at first light because it's getting so dark in the mornings now. I really want to get good coverage with this. I've been up since 4 AM. That's not all that unusual for me, but went out to the garden about 8 AM. Really just wanted to, I don't know, almost go out and ground myself in the garden. I actually, well, I'm still in my pyjamas, but I took off the shoes that I'd put on for going out there. I took them off and stood barefoot in the grass amongst the leaves for quite some time. The ground was very wet, the grass was wet, it was cold, colder than I expected it to be, but very wet because it had rained last night. So I think I'm going to get a couple of more pages, just this other bit of paper, just to absorb some of this at this point. Probably I've used more than I needed, but that's all right. Right, I am going to get my heat tool and I'm just going to give these a dry. They'll probably go quite crinkly, but that's fine. It'll be nice and kind of organic feeling. So, I was telling you about being outside, standing on the grass, barefoot, and it's strange how things happen because I'm sitting drying this piece of paper, drying both sides, and it's an old page from a dictionary. And here we have bear, and I go down here, and if I can find it again, I know it was there. Oh, I've jumped, my eye has jumped. Barefoot. Right. So I'm feeling the need to do something that kind of reflects a bit of nature today. And the other thing is, after standing on the grass, the soles of my feet were covered or had pulled up from the ground these leaves. So I was going to incorporate some into the page. Instead, what I'm going to do is a couple of them anyway. I'm just going to try and flatten out and keep them in a pocket. Now, when I was drying this, I suddenly saw what to me looks like a bird. It's almost like an owl. So I want to try and incorporate that into my page. But first things first, I want to attach my two pages together so that they will open like so. So I'm just going to tear a piece of this. Put that out the way. And I'm hoping this will be strong enough to act as a kind of hinge. I think I might do 2 layers, and I'm going to use a slightly stronger glue. This art glitter glue. I'm going to try and get the 2 pages as close together. Are you supposed to shake this? I never know. As close together as I possibly can. So that when it opens, it will look just like one page. It probably needs just a tiny gap just to allow it to do so. You may hear, I'm afraid, my washing machine in the background. It's not in the same room, but it's close enough that it can be heard. There's supposed to be a bit of a breeze today, although it's not there yet. And I'm hoping that I can dry the laundry outside. the wind is to pick up later, and we're going to have a weather bomb. So the winds have to get really, really stormy tonight and into the early hours of Sunday. So I'll also need to be prepared just in case we lose electricity. Right. Now that that side's done, I'm going to cover what will become the back and the front, and then I'll do the inside, because I've got one other thing that I want to add to this to allow me to be able to close it. So, like I said, I like to be able to incorporate this little bird. I think a lot of this is going to flake off, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to try it with glue stick to begin with. So, as always, thank you to everyone who has, I need to think about this, get it the right way up, keep it flat just now. Thank you to everyone who has left comments on my recent videos and who has given it a thumbs up. Really do appreciate that very much. So I'm going to position this as best I can. I'm kind of trying to look underneath. I know the bird is down the bottom. Well, I could put it here, part ways up. I'd like to retain some of that. Let's try it about. Right, there. If this works, it works. If it doesn't, if this works, it works. If it doesn't, then we will just start it again. Right. Even this off so I can see the page. I always enjoy the colour of packaging paper, but of course it's not great paper in any way, shape or form. I could actually, would that help or hinder? Should have given it a little bit more room than that, but never mind. I'm just going to double this over the other side, and again it will hopefully just help strengthen it. Basically the pocket will open like so. To me that looks wider at the bottom than it does at the top. It's just a hangover of the paper though. So I'm going to put something on here, but first I'm going to finish the inside. But I need to get a couple of things. Right, I've got here a very small brad, or split pin you might call it. This is the third one I've looked out. The other two I've laid down and now I can't see them. And I've got a piece of baker's twine. I'm hoping it's not too thick to wrap around this. What I'm going to do is put a bit of colour on that, just to disguise the white. So I will just use use that again. Just put it on here and I'm just going to drop some ink. Shouldn't take a lot. Put the pin back in this, which I always forget to do. Ooh, it's a bit dark and grungy looking now, but that's okay. Dry that off down there. Give it a quick dry with my heat tool. Right, I was about to use some of that on here, just to give it a wee bit more colour. That's better. Then I realised that actually I haven't put it on the back, so I now need to put a piece onto the back. I think I'll just do it like so. It's got plenty of pattern on it. Now just get any bits there. Okay, so on this main side I'm just going to take my awl and just roughly about maybe a centimetre in, not too close to the top, about a centimetre in, which is about half an inch, about halfway across. I'm just going to put a hole. Oh, moved it. Doesn't need to be precise. and a second one appeared. So the one one of those that I'd laid down and couldn't find has reappeared now. Right, put it through here first. Gosh, I just about made that hole too big. Now I just need to make sure that I can actually wrap thread around that. I might need a slightly bigger one. Let me see. So I've got one that's a bit bigger. Need to be able for it to sit just a little bit up from and that can certainly wrap around. Only need it to go round maybe once. I'm just going to glue it in place a little bit. I don't know if I need to do this or not, but and then on this side, so I'm basically going to line my string up and put this on this side. I'm going to leave a decent amount glued in so that hopefully it will sit in place. So let's just put a line of this here. Sticking to my fingers. Right, I'm going to leave that for a minute to dry, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this piece, half on here and half on here. Just going to put an extra little bit of glue under the lip here. The hinge, I should say. Right. Right, I found the other brad I'd lost. I was sitting on it. I think I'm also just going to put on a little bit of masking tape. This is quite old stuff. It'll probably tear away when I try to pull it. Again, just to hold each of these in place. It's quite sticky. I didn't think it'd be quite as sticky as that, but again, I'm going to put an extra bit of glue on it. This is one of these days where I feel I'm all thumbs. Fingers are not working as they should. At least it doesn't feel like it. Right, this is probably not needed, but doing it anyway. I don't really need that on top of the brad, but it's more just to give the paper that I'm going to put on top just a little bit of protection. So the idea is that this will come round, hopefully fit around here. Won't need it as tight as that, but it will then keep the little pocket closed. I think it matters what way I do this. I think I'm just going to do a half and then I'll put the other half, and again if it overlaps that's absolutely fine. Give this a little tug. It seems strong enough. Originally I was thinking about using the fabric that I've been using for attaching the pages. I was going to use the fabric to do that, but I decided to try and make it so that I can paint down this in my usual way, albeit I might just put it to the kind of front, because potentially if I do it right along the bottom then it could crack. Right, just going to give that a moment before I start on the next bit. So I think what I'm going to do now is to create little pockets. I'm just going to take this piece I tore off from earlier, roughly fold it in half. And that's virtually the perfect size. I should not need to glue it in the middle. I think I'm just going to put a bit of glue down each side, put it in. Hopefully that will suffice. That runs off slightly, not worried about that. Just going to hold that down a little. So what it should mean is I should be able to slip something, and I don't know if it's going to be these leaves or not. I might just use them for something else. But I can slip something into here, and I don't want to pull that up just now. So we've got a double pocket like so. I might actually just put paper into them for writing little notes. Right, now to the front page. Get rid of some of this. Right. So I've got my little bird friend here. I was out in the garden this morning, as you saw. See my tree that I love so much. So I think I'm just going to do a representation of a tree. Just round about here. I'm just going to think about how I'm going to do it. I think I'm just going to use my bamboo dip pen and some Mars black ink and just try and draw a kind of tree form. Very stylised, not looking for this to be realistic in any way, shape or form. I'll try this on a scrap first of all. I think the black will look quite nice. Just want this to be very sketchy looking. Paper's absorbing it. Almost looks like a sun or a moon. Get some twiggy bits coming out from it. Texture on it, and some roots going down and into the ground. Of course, at the moment the trees still have some leaves on them. A lot have come down already. I have a little Stabilo awl here. I'm just going to take it around the edges, although I will be going round it in gold as well. But maybe I should have done the gold first, but we'll see. And bits of the other under paper sticking because I've got little pink bits on there. I don't want to spray it onto there, so I'm just putting some water on my finger, just a tiny bit, just to activate this. Desperately trying to avoid the ink that's still wet there. Right, I'm going to leave this a few minutes so that this bit here can dry. It's quite thick and still wet. And I'm still going to do my gold paint, I think. The back, I'm just going to leave like so. Okay, so on with the gold. Still not quite dry, but I'll be glad when I've finished this paint. And I can move on to a new tube. Right, I'm going to open it up to do this. And I don't know if I'm going to go around both. I think I might just go round the front one, the main page. So just in the usual way. I don't know if I put that on there just now or if that was already on. So back in a minute. Okay, so while that finishes drying, I've left it for a few minutes already, but the gold's still damp. But as is often my way, I've kind of changed my mind about a couple of things. I want to take this out because I like the way this looks. Doesn't need to be straight as such. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in the pocket, and I think I'm going to use that pen, and I'm actually going to just write something on the inside, and then I'm going to slip it into the pocket, and I'll do another one for this side, and I'll probably just write something about the feeling that I had when I was standing out in the grass this morning and the energy that I felt from what I like to call my tree. So here we have this week's page, quite different in terms of approach, still using scraps of paper though, but bringing in a little bit of kind of intuitive artwork, I guess, seeing something in terms of what was on the page. I really think this looks like an owl. That could be the moon. Back just leaving as is, but of course this now becomes a kind of secret pocket, a secret page, which this bit will be glued in, the back will be glued into the book. This of course will tie round here, trying not to wet the paint, but you know what it's going to do. And then we'll flip forward and I'll have some little notes in there. Getting that gold everywhere, but you know, I don't mind gold. So that's it for this week. If you are following along, then I would just say try something different. You could do something like this, or perhaps your own experience of something that you felt strongly about over the last few days, or you know, if you want, just do the kind of usual thing. Yeah, I feel good about doing something different today. So thanks ever so much for watching. Do take care. Bye for now.